The quiet announcement yesterday of a 4.6% increase in regulated rail fares that's effective from March 2025. So hiding behind the budget, despite Rachel Reeves' budget speech on tax hikes and public spending, this detail was conspicuously absent, surfacing only in the Treasury's supplementary documents. And this is a 4.6% rise above inflation for only the second time in over a decade. And railcards will also see a £5 hike, bringing them to around £30 per year. The save for a disabled person's rail card that will remain at the same price, but everything else is going up, and the quality of rail travel hasn't changed. It's still unreliable. It's still unpleasant. If you frame this fare increase within the broader economic pressure that Reeves outlined, such as the £40 billion in new taxes, increased capital gains tax, the slight rise in rail and national insurance for businesses effectively squeezing both individuals and corporations, I suppose it makes sense. But the elephant in the room, there's little evidence of tangible improvements in rail services, reliability or punctuality, no matter what happens in Euston. Commuters face delays, cancellations, overcrowded trains with no meaningful upgrades despite these fare hikes. And entities like the Campaign for Better Transport, which called this secret hike a kick in the teeth for lower income individuals and environmentally conscious passengers who rely on public transport. If you contrast this with policies like the ongoing freeze on fuel duty, which arguably undermines efforts to make public transportation an attractive alternative to car travel, and it's simply absurd. The rail partners' statement urging the government to prioritise passenger growth over price hikes, emphasising long-term viability, increased ridership as solutions for the rail sector. In the end, the government seems only interested in the freight services, and the passenger train services operating during daylight hours are at best an inconvenience that are effectively being priced out of the market. It's an unpleasant, miserable experience travelling on British trains. The periods waiting around in stations with insufficient seating and hostile, aggressive staff, or at least that's my experience of Manchester, Piccadilly, recently. It's a misery. If you can find some other means of travelling, it's probably preferable to travelling by train. And probably actually we're getting to a point where travelling by taxi is as cheap and certainly more reliable.